Everyone needs therapy.
Everyone does need therapy.
This is Renee.
And this is Irina.
And you're listening to Honey, I'm Healing. How are the queens?
They're good.
Okay.
It's summer break, so it's a bit survival mode in
That's
our house
true.
this summer with everything.
Yeah.
How about
I
you?
know that. Not the summer break part, but like just how fast things go. I cannot believe it's almost August.
I know.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's funny because it's like a whirlwind for me. Like I got engaged, married, and now dun, 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 I don't know.
What?
I'm expecting a little one.
Oh, sorry, Grace. Grace is excited. She said, "Praise the Lord." I didn't know you were gonna spill the beans on that.
I had mixed feelings on it, but I think that it's a good time to do that. I mean, I'm not going to put any social media post about it or anything, so only our listeners will know. But
Oh, and how lucky you are if you do know, because this is something we are so excited about here.
yes, yeah. So we told like our family members and stuff. We sent out all of our thank you cards way too like far out.
No, appropriate.
It was like 6 weeks.
No, that's totally fine. You
Understandably
had to
so
have
now.
time to open your presents.
Oh, yes. My beautiful Mackenzie child teapot that we now have the same matching one of. But, anyways, we are just fertile myrtles, Irina and I over here.
I am no longer.
No?
But you.
Oh, okay. Well, I think that one of the reasons I wanted to say or to tell people about it today was because I think it ties in so well with our topic and like the book review that we're doing for today, just because it's about women and it's about the female experience. And I've been talking to John so much about there's nothing as like that bonds women more, and I will die on this hill, than talking about pregnancy and like motherhood, because it is so incredibly different yet profoundly similar. Like every pregnancy is different, every body is different, but the experience is what bonds us. And so I think that that's why people love hearing birth stories or like women just pour over those details because we in some way can relate. Obviously not me yet, but
No, you already are. And I was thinking right before our podcast started, just like my summarizing thoughts on the book. And I was just thinking of like this book. What I love so much is the community of women. They all understand each other. It's like a village and they get each other. And I only think I have a handful of friends who get me on that level. And I have a lot that don't. And it shows up in our friendship, it shows up in our communication and like, what we talk about, what they ask me about. Like, unless you are a mom or have had a child, you don't get it. You just don't. And dogs and animals don't count. They just do not. But there is something, and I think the reason why that is because we live in a society where like we're so individualized. We're not a community. We're not a village. So like women don't get it because we don't have the environment to live like they did back in 14th century China.
yeah,
And that's sad.
it is. Because I think that like so obviously my TikTok page has been just completely overhauled with like mom videos, and one of the recurring themes is like how in so many different cultures women in that community or village or family would join together and like take care of both mom and the baby after mom gave birth, because it's just as much a healing process to the mother as it is to an introduction of this new life into the family. And it just honors like both bodies, both people that subsequently like endured trauma, because I'm sure that if babies could talk, they'd be like, would not do that again.
Yeah.
You know?
Smashed my head there for 2 hours? Nope, not a fan.
So,
Don't like the birth canal. It's
but
like going through the grotto in Capri.
I can't relate. That's
Haven't done, but it's
No.
on my TikTok.
But now that I'm hopefully getting a passport soon.
Oh, yes, that's right. And here I thought your big news was going to be I'm getting a passport. That's
Well-
why I freaked out. I was like, oh, we're getting
Well,
a
I
passport.
I am, because John and I booked a trip to Thunder Bay, Ontario. So
Okay. Well, I
I'm-
hope you have a fun trip.
thank you. I've never been to Canada. So
I have. Awful experience, but
oh. Well, without further ado,
let us tell you what we've been talking about and why it pertains to our book. So in March, we chose the book Lady Tan Circle of Women by Lisa C. And it's a historical fiction about a woman who was trained to be a doctor under her grandmother in 14th century China, back when they had dynasties and emperors. And she was sent to an arranged marriage and lived in her mother-in-law's household. And we see her help women give birth, have a friendship with another amazing woman who has a very sad, traumatic story. That one touched me the most. And then we just kind of see the journey of her life as a mom, as someone who's a doctor, and just as a female in general. That I think that's like the underlying most important part about this book is like being a woman. So yeah, what would you rate this book?
yeah, I would rate this book probably a 4.5.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely know that I will think about it. And before I ask you the follow-up question to that, I just want to say thank you for choosing a book that I would have never picked up, because this really opened my eyes. And because of that, I think that I got so much more out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I typically wouldn't think about like reading about 14th century Chinese women, you know.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
gosh, was it so beautiful to like be transported into not only a different era but a different culture. I'm so grateful that you chose this book. So thank you.
Oh, good. I'm glad. This is like my bread and butter of books. I think that's why I love Kristen Hanna so much.
Yes.
Granted, she doesn't transport us that far back, but I love anything of like feeling like I'm in a different culture and I'm learning. And I learned so much in this book. And it makes me want to go visit China and the Forbidden City and their beautiful land. I rated this a 5, and that's because I know I will be thinking about it for a very long time, and it pulled my heartstrings. Like, I didn't cry, but I felt very heavily as a woman, as a mother, as a want-to-be herbalist.
I thought about you so much.
I loved all the TCM, like everything, every chapter had something about traditional Chinese medicine. So
Yeah.
I really appreciated that part too.
Yeah. What was your favorite part of the book?
I think the journey to the Forbidden City and then back, and then like the little parts when she was a little rebel and did things she shouldn't have, gone out into the city with Mei Jing, that's how I pronounce it in my head, and like healed the
Mei Ling.
Mei Ling. Oh, whoops. There I go. Once again, not pronouncing things correctly. And healing that woman. And then, as sad as it is, just like the parts that are so, like taboo, like talking about the concubines and like her husband, you know, requesting one, just like all those little parts that like just opened my eyes to what life was like.
I selfishly, like, I understand that it was so commonplace to have a concubine. I could never. I would be so jealous. And it would be so hard to welcome that baby and be like, oh, it's my honorary child, or whatever the term was that they use. I'm forgetting what they said, but I'm sure you would love that child because it's part of your household, or your like,
The legacy of like the family name that
for
you're
sure,
bringing down. Yeah.
for sure.
But it's also like with a woman who's like 30 years younger, fresh, baby faced, which is
I know.
even sad. Like 14-year-old women. Not women, girls. They're girls.
They're girls. Yeah, because Young Sian was 15 when she married Yang Maoran.
Okay, you with the pronunciations. You did the due diligence on that.
I also listened to it via
okay.
audio, and I'm very glad that I did, because I didn't want to come on here and like ignorantly mispronounce things, or like I want to be very respectful. But
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they just sounded different in my head.
I mean, we both got married young, but 15,
Yeah.
no thanks. Mm-hmm. And it being an arranged marriage on top of that.
Which I didn't like him much.
I didn't mind him, because I feel like he, while was like at points at different times like distant from Young Sian, like I do think that he was a safe place for her, and she openly like wanted to be around him and like seek him out and like be with him. So I feel like to a certain degree she may have felt safe around him or whatever, but why didn't you like him?
I think in general I didn't like the men. I think that was mainly it. And I love the what she did there at the end of allowing all the women to go and like to say, let the men woo us. And I was like, there you go. That's what Margarita would say.
She
Margarita
was
Nazarenko.
way before
Yeah.
her time.
Yeah. But she
Yeah.
knew what she was doing there. And I did like, at the end how like it was bundled up nicely when he came to her room and like held her feet, which is a whole nother like, wow, the fact that they did that. And I meant to research whether that's still a common practice.
I don't think it is, but I
Okay.
did. I looked into it when we had first started reading the book, because I wanted to have a visual representation of what that looked like.
And which brings me into another thought I had, like the girls don't ever have a chance to just live as girls. They are servants to society from the age of 4 or 5. 5 when they start binding their feet. Why? For what? So that the men, their future husbands, will love their feet. They're already conditioned from such a young age that like you will serve your husband and his mother.
Yeah.
And they like take away their their independence and just themselves, and only do they gain that back when they're like 50 years old and respected.
And they're the ones that are now the mother-in-law that's running the household, and
It's so strange.
There's this lineage of obedience, and I wouldn't even say respect. I would maybe say honor,
Yeah.
but yeah, like that was wild. Like even as Young Xian was young, like her mom telling her like you have to respect your mother-in-law, and like ingraining that in her really early on, even though she was raised like kind of progressively with her grandparents being her grandmother being a physician and teaching her and Mei Ling kind of midwifery, but that was an interesting friendship also.
It was so sweet.
Yeah.
And then when she lost her child while helping another woman birth hers.
And it was like, it had taken Mei Ling so long to get pregnant. And like, she had, one of the things that I can't imagine from being a midwife is helping other women deliver babies when you can't produce one. Like how bittersweet that probably is, and how excited you are for the mom that you're delivering, but also how like crushing it is to be like, when is it going to be my turn? And then finding out that Mei Ling miscarried because she took herbal remedies meant for Yang Xian.
To die, y'all. There is a potential sabotageal murder.
It was a
Like,
coup.
Yeah. I'm so glad. Like, that's where I loved where the plot twisted, and just one day she got in touch back with her dad. I feel like Lisa did a really good job of like tying all the loose ends and the questions with the husband, with the dad, with the grandmother, with even the lady that she healed in the town. Her seeing her at the dragon parade with her husband happy, like she did a really good job of like answering those questions that I had.
Yeah, and I didn't feel like. Well, actually, I really appreciate the way that Lisa C. wrote, because there weren't really pockets throughout the story where I became disinterested and like didn't want to continue reading, which is actually pretty rare for me. There wasn't a whole lot of world building or whatever like you would see in like a Sarah J. Maas book, for example. And obviously
Right.
it's because she's not building a universe with like different creatures in it, but there's some sort of setting that you have to
Yeah.
elaborate on or whatever. But I feel like she did that in a really concise way, in the way that she like wrote. I don't know, just the way that she wrote was really
Yeah.
easy to read, and I had a sustained interest, which, like I said, is rare. So that was really refreshing to read too.
Yeah, me too. And I'd say even like once you get past the halfway point, I was like, I didn't want to put it down. I wanted to read it. Yeah, I was reading it at stoplights today to finish it. But yeah, I was like, oh. The part with the worm. We need to go look at the significance of like a worm, and because all animals are like a symbol for something in China. Like we need to go look at the significance of that and like how relevant it was to her mother-in-law's character.
Well, one thing that I learned over the last year is that everybody has worms. Always.
Well, yes. Yes.
And
I don't like to think about that.
I don't like to think about that either. But for it to be as long as it was, I'm sure that it had some sort of behavioral impact on her. I mean, who's to say there wasn't one in like near her brain, or like pushing on different parts of her brain that would impact those lobes from functioning properly. I don't know, but
Yeah.
I'm assuming that it would, if nothing else, be incredibly uncomfortable. But when she was like, she wasn't drinking to feed herself, she was drinking to feed the. Ugh.
Yeah. It was gross.
No thanks.
Do you know what? I took a picture of it, but it's on my phone, but my phone's recording. When she asked Miss Chen about the fourth daughter, I didn't understand that part back when they were in the Hermitage treating the smallpox victims, and they were talking about the fourth daughter, and at that point I didn't understand, like I didn't get it.
The way that I understood it, and I don't know if this is right, but it's the way that I understood it, was that Master Yang had 3 daughters with his wife, and then with Mrs. Chen had 4 daughters apart from that, and she was the first of the 4th. So there was 3 like legitimate daughters, if you want to put it that way, and then she was the 4th daughter.
Okay. Yeah, it got confusing because then there was Dr. Wong's kids,
Yeah.
and that.
I was surprised to see that Lady Kyo was in on that. But also that Yang Qian was just like, it's fine. I would have been like, no.
I know. But I think her saving grace was when she was like, I didn't know he would take it that far.
Yeah, that's true. I thought that it was really progressive of Yang Qian to advocate for women, no matter what they did to her or whatever the circumstance was. Like even when Mei Ling was going to be beheaded or whatever, because she gave birth right after the imperial empress did, like, she advocated for her friend in a very high stakes environment. She advocated for Miss Chen, saying, like, you don't know if she was taken advantage of or not. Like, you don't know the circumstances. And she still advocated for all of them.
So I've been reading a lot more and listening to how way, way, way back, even like BCE times, like back in the goddess times, like society was more matriarchal, whereas now we live in a patriarchal. Am I saying that right?
Patriarchal.
Yeah. Okay. Time, and I definitely think like this time period hits that so much of like centering men. There was even a quote there about men being the sun and the women being the moon, and how the men are the center. And it's just so wild to me because I believe very oppositely. I think like women are the ones who create. Like, we have the womb. If anything, we are so much more like God because we do create. So like, I'm not saying that in a deep way or anything, but just it's wild to me how centered men were and sometimes still are. Where that's a whole nother conversation, but at the same time, the women are centered. Like, the most important thing is for a woman to give birth, and it's to a son. Women giving birth to daughters is like so frowned upon. I found that so sad because they're the ones who are birthing boys, you know? So it's just so ironic. Definitely think it was for power more than anything.
If of anybody, of any sex or gender, to be like not worshipped or idolized, but revered, it should be women, because we are the only ones who can bring in life into this world. On the point of like the why men, or like why society wants boys, I will say traditionally, like, women don't carry on their last name. So if it's like a Hispanic, or like, I know in a lot of Spanish speaking countries there will be both the mother's last name and the father's last name. Yes. I know that there are like cultural ties like that, but traditionally, like in white culture, I should say, you don't take on the woman takes the man's last name. So only males heirs can transfer the last name. So I think it's like, I think it's seen as like securing the family line. And that's very much what we saw in this book. It's like,
Yeah.
who's gonna make offerings to us in the afterlife, but also like, who's gonna carry on the Maoren name or Yang name. But even now, I will say too that like, as we're becoming a more progressive world, there are men that take their wives' last names now, or like partners that take other partners' names. There's a lot more conversations about that happening. So I don't know, what would young Sheehan think about that? I don't know.
Well, okay, so crazy we're talking about this because I was talking to Matt the other day. I had found out that maternal mitochondrial DNA is the only mitochondrial DNA that passes down from mother to child, like generations. It's the DNA of the mother passed down from her mother that gets passed down. There is more maternal DNA. And if anything, the last name that should be passed down is the mother's. So I think she would love that, especially because it's because we are giving birth. And that's the only way that legacy can be created, which granted with the help of a man. But you know what? There was Virgin Mary too. So who knows?
Mic drop.
You will it hard enough, might happen. No, I'm kidding. But yeah.
I learned that when I took 23andMe, because it puts you into these, and you've done this before too, so you would see it on yours, but it's called a maternal haplogroup, and it takes you back to like a distinct number. I don't know why the number 16 pops up in my head, but a distinct number of like prehistoric women that basically populated the earth, or like can be linked back to that. Isn't that wild?
Yeah, mine was showing in Africa, but I think that's where it all is.
So it is mine, I think.
Yeah, I think it's all in Africa.
Yeah.
I loved like learning different terminology for different things like moon water.
Moon water, yeah.
I'm like that. Sign me up. I want that's what I'm calling it. The honey pot. Are you kidding me? That's so cute.
I thought what was really interesting was the way she was describing her bed, like the inner chambers, and I looked that up too, and it was like a whole studio apartment it was like a whole structure that they built, and I can't imagine how hard that would be to like disassemble and then reassemble in your new household.
So it sounds like also her and her husband, the only time they ever hung out was when she would talk to him about an important issue in his office, or when they would try to have a kid. Like, other than that, do they hold hands? They weren't allowed to kiss in public. Like, they weren't allowed to have a friendship. It sounded like Maylene did.
Yeah.
With Kalo.
Yeah, the tea merchant.
Yes.
Also a really great, like, I could see you being a tea merchant.
I would and I was thinking of like, if I was living in 14th century China, which life would I want to have? 100% middle class or lower. Like, Young Xin talks about at the end of the book about how we might have higher class, we might have more wealth, but we are not restricted. Well, yeah, restricted. We're so restricted, confined to these four corners, and that's it. Like, they have no freedom, no independence. Whereas Maylene, she gets to go be all over China. She gets to go into her city. She gets to live in a home with her husband, and no rules on how often he can visit their bed. And, it's...
Do you remember the part of the book where she snuck out the first time and like put on different clothes and like wiped off her makeup and stuff? I can't imagine having to do that.
I know. No freedom.
No, that would be pretty miserable.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I loved this book. I think I'm going to go ahead and read her other ones, but I saw that you picked our next one.
I did.
Okay, share.
And I saw that it was a book that we had both wanted like to read on Goodreads. Our next book of the month for Honey I'm Healing is going to be The Heaven and Earth Grocery Store by James McBride.
I have not read anything by him. I'm excited for this one. I think there's like some mixed reviews on it, but I think I'm going to love it.
Oh, I do too.
It sounds like it's got soul in it, so.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. If you have read this book,
let us know your thoughts.
Yeah, please, because this one was wild and so heartfelt.
Or if you've read her other books, let us know which one we should read next, because I'd read her stuff again.
Yeah, she gives me Kristen Hanna vibes.
Yes.
Like, that's, I would say, a competing author for sure. Okay. All right. We love y'all. Bye.
Bye.